All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. And today, what I'd like to do is walk you through the account update for July 2024. And we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We're still going to be covering the major topics, but I'm actually going to be breaking down all of my energy spending, explaining why I'm doing that, and then also getting into some of the key currencies and how I'm spending those resources. I think it's really important for you guys. It's something I used to do, particularly for my older guild, where I would kind of lay out what I was doing every month for them, just to give them an idea of where my account was. And that way, if they had questions, they already knew what to ask from me. So let's go ahead, guys. Please like and subscribe, comment down below. I do want to give a shout out to the channel members. They have been so patient. And I want to give a special shout out to Andrew Bradshaw. He reached out, and I'm going to be doing some content that he kind of brought up. Hey, Phil, I want you to cover some things that I feel you've really been endgame lately and not really making content that's applicable to my account. So I want to give him a shout out there, because that's not an easy conversation to have with somebody. So, and I'm going to say that if I am, as a channel member, like, that is your prerogative and your right, that you're like, hey, Phil, call me out, guys. Like Andrew, thank you so much. To my Wampa Jedi Master Tier members, you guys are fantastic. Thank you again for continuing to support this channel, guys. Let's get in here. Let's talk about our account update for July 2024. All right, so let's start off with the big hitters, right? What did we do this month? So the first thing we did was we took our Ayla Sakura to Relic 5. I know you can't see the Relic 5 thing down here, but there it is. So it took her to Relic 5. The idea for this, right, came from the raid. I'm trying to score better in the raid, and my guild has done a really good job of scoring better in the raid. So that was the first thing we did. And then we did some major things here. We got Master Qui-Gon Jinn and took him to Relic 9. We got Padawan Obi-Wan, bumped him to Relic 9. And then we also took our Queen Amidala up to Relic 9 from Relic 7. So 2 new Relic characters and then 4 Relic upgrades during this month. Very excited overall for this. Relic 9 was a big deal, right? That's not a small undertaking. And the big thing there to keep in mind is, having spent all of those resources, I'm still in a position for some other Relic 9s here in terms of the amount of resources we have. But also, keep in mind, with the signal data I have on hand, I'm just about ready for Jar Jar coming in 5 days. So not only have I been able to do all of that and get better prepared for the raid, but we're going to be able to unlock Jar Jar in 5 days, which will be a very big moment for this account. Again, another really good character kind of entering the fray. Really looking forward to it. Very excited on that front. So getting ready for that. In terms of where we're heading next, once we get Jar Jar, it's kind of one of these areas where I'm kind of going to be looking at Ahsoka and then Balin's Skull and trying to get as many of those characters done as I can. And the one area that I'm doing really well in is, from a shard perspective, the only characters that I have left to farm are either not yet farmable because they aren't on a node, like Death Trooper Peridia, who just launched at the time of recording, Morgan Elsbeth, and then Night Trooper. Those are the 3 characters that are not yet farmable. And then Tusken Warrior, Sana, and Hondo are all in the Cantina. So I have a lot of really good, I'd say, motives here that, like, we're in a position where when something does go farmable, I'm going to be able to farm it. And because I don't have anything to farm on hard nodes right now, I'm able to stockpile gear. So kind of transitioning into how I'm using my regular energy, we are spending it solely on Mark 7 Kyrotech. So I've got 1,700 Mark 7 Kyrotech right now. This number has continued to skyrocket because of Zepho, Mandalore, and then obviously, like, not having a hard node character, I'm spending all of my energy refreshes going towards these pieces here. My Mark 9 Kyrotech, these are coming from the Get 2 from special missions and territory battles, and then Zepho and Mandalore as well going here. So not quite, you might think that I should have way more Mark 7s, but buying as many as I do with my Guild Event Currency 2 here, like, I've made a lot of progress here. And I do farm a lot more of these. So, like, I probably still can get ahead on these, and that's good because I need more of them than I do the laptops. From a fleet energy perspective, I am strictly farming gear. So I like to farm these HoloLenses. They're a very big part there. I love the HoloLenses. I also am farming a lot of these fusion furnaces. And then the last thing I am farming is laptops. The reason I'm farming those pieces out of the fleet energy, with my fleet energy, is because they have some really, really good gear. And I'm not going to go to every single node, but just as an example here, they've got some pieces that I can use for carbonite circuit boards. So I'm trying to increase the amount of carbonite circuit boards I have through my hard nodes. Because obviously with the 7B, that's a bronzium wiring node. But here, being able to earn stuff towards carbonite circuit boards is a big deal, because I do want to make sure that I am continuously trying to improve my relic hoard here, particularly for these pieces. And as you can see, bronzium wiring and chromium transistors are not a big problem for me. I do need to make some progress on iridium heat sinks again. Kind of one of those where you just got to stay on top of it with your guild currency. And then even my electrum conductors need to make sure that I'm staying topped off. I'm not overly concerned yet, but it is something to bear in mind that I've got a lot of them to spend with these upcoming Ahsoka characters, and if I continue to do higher relic levels. And oh, look at that. I can trade those in. And then I've covered this many times before. It's just something I keep at least 100 of these pieces on hand at all times, and I won't scrap anything until I reach 150. That's just kind of this random, random number I've come up with that just makes the most sense to me. I like to try to keep at least 100, but won't trade it until I get 150 of a certain piece. Over here, it doesn't really matter. Like, I could trade in, how many thousand of these things, and I'd be fine. But not concerned about those right now. From mod perspectives, we're just switching back and forth between sometimes farming this node when I really need these pieces. These are becoming an even bigger problem for me. Not like to the extent that it's crazy, but sometimes I get some purple mods that are pretty good and I want to take a chance on them. And then obviously these two pieces, particularly the Mark 1 amplifiers, these I'm in a dire need of. I need a lot more of these at times than I do these. And then obviously I need any of these pieces. This Mark II thermal exchange unit is a big issue for me, but I can't really farm it off of the node because the drop rates are absolutely abysmal. So whenever I can in the weekly shipments, I do spend my crystals on them every single week. Like week in, week out, I buy every single one of them. And a bigger problem at hand has been that a lot of these, like this one here, I'm not going to get the max crate on, but a lot of these feats, a lot of these galactic challenges lately have been for factions that I don't quite have, and of course all the Gungan ones. So trying to get that max crate is really difficult, which means it's a lower amount of those Mark II units that I'm getting. So it is really, really rough, actually. It's been a big problem. I really need more of them because I can't slice mods like I used to. And so that's led me to have some less than ideal mods on certain characters. But there's not a lot we can do there. So then finally with my Cantina energy, obviously we're focusing on signal data. The one thing that has been nice lately is primarily I've just been focusing on the blue signal data because I'm doing relic increases going up to that 8 and 9 level. So I can focus a lot more of my time here and don't need to do quite as much for the white and the green. So obviously next is going to be Ahsoka and Balin. Where we're going to have to really pay attention here is some of these guys like Luthen, where I don't really know what his impact will be yet. And I'm not sure if I even have the best team to take advantage of a character like Luthen. And even though I have the Kyrotech to potentially level him and it's not a big deal, the other side of that is the Zetas. Now, I'm not in like a dire need of these, but you got to realize that I may have 98 of them, but 60 go on to Jar Jar. So now I've got 38, which is enough for not even 2 additional Zeta abilities. And with characters like Death Trooper Peridia, Morgan, and Night Trooper all going to be needing Zetas, along with Ahsoka and Balin and the rest of the requirements there, I'm going to want to start saving those and just kind of waiting around. We've got the Great Mothers coming out too. I want to make sure that I'm kind of prepared for those eventual farms that I'd rather have those Zetas on them. And then the other side of that as well, think about the new Ezra coming. That's another 3 Zetas I am going to have to spend. So I am really trying to make sure that I'm conserving Zetas where necessary, because I'm at that point in the game now where I could probably be going after someone like Luthen, going after some of these other Zetas, but potentially at the expense of characters that I want to keep them on. So, and with that said, like this going after Ahsoka and potentially Balin, like I think especially Ahsoka, this could be the first time that I'm actually, I would say, like the first couple of relics here. Obviously, Night Trooper, I can't farm him yet, but Asajj and Snips, I'm gearing up that once I get Jar Jar, it's going to be Snips to Relic 9 and then Asajj to Relic 5, where this will be the first time where I'm that far ahead on a Galactic Legend before everything else has been released yet. So very much looking forward to that, and I am really excited because it's a big moment for my account to be able to be in that position to get a Galactic Legend that early. In terms of how I'm spending my currencies, and oh, look at this, I get to buy these. So obviously I'm spending these every day that I can. Weekly shipments, I did show you guys we are purchasing the mod materials. Sometimes I purchase some of the rest of this stuff if I'm in need, but otherwise it is what it is. Continuing to try and get any kind of ship currency I can. This stuff, I mean, it's just purchase as necessary with these currencies. I do a lot of the relic materials down there. With my Mark 1, or with my Mark 3 currency, at the conclusion of this raid, I'll probably buy 3 Gerda keypads, probably buy about 5 impulse detectors, and then start kind of working on my Zibital cards and Electrum Conductor inventory, just trying to build that stuff back up. I am trying to keep some Relicate materials on hand, just so that way I am, in continuing to increase my inventory of them. They are very important for my progression. And with the Gerda keypads, they are super expensive, but I am at that point where Relic 8 is becoming a bigger ask of me. So Relic 8 and Relic 9, so I need to be prepared for those things. Down in here with this gear, it's just stuff I don't feel like farming on a node, which oftentimes is this piece, so I'll buy those. And then down here, I mean, I do have to maintain a certain stock of credits just to make sure that I'm not running out. And then otherwise, just kind of core gear as needed. And an as needed really is my way of saying that when I get below like 1,000 of something, I buy it. So we'll top off some holo projectors. With the Squad Arena currency, I will buy credits. I'll buy some of the gear down here. It just depends on how much I have. This stuff, I keep this number. I don't know why, otherwise Shard Shop. I am still buying mods, buying a lot of mods, trying to get better ones, so I take gambles now all the time. Fleet Arena, Zetas. So this is where we get, a little more interesting now. So my Get 3, I am using solely on Gerda keypads when I can. If I'm getting close and TB's ending, I gotta just spend them, but these primarily just go towards Gerda keypads, trying to build that back up. I could spend them on Omicrons, but I really like spending them on the relic materials. I think that's a far better investment for me. Get 2 is solely spent on the laptop Kyrotech. That's solely spent there. And then Get 1, again, it's kind of just, a little bit of everything. I actually wouldn't mind buying something like that if I needed it, but I primarily am just up in this section buying whatever gear I need for Gear 13. Down here, again, this piece, these Grand Arena currency goes solely towards the laptop pieces. And then Shard Shop, just kind of my gear as necessary, wherever I think I can get it. That's what I do. So, that's the end of the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this account update, me going into that detail of what I'm building and why. Thank you again for all of your support. Again, I love you guys so much. Thank you for sticking with me through the good and the bad. I've had, I don't know, I don't want to get too personal, but if you're still watching, maybe just, let me know down in the comments. But I've been kind of just contemplating, switching careers, and it's causing me, not like switching jobs, I should say, and it's been causing me a lot of, grief at times, and so it's definitely put a damper on my creativity for this game. So I just wanted to put that out there, guys. I love you all so much. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.